Hello, dear listeners of the Storytelling Podcast channel. My name is Brian. I'm 40 years old, and I'm an architect at a large construction company. Outwardly, my life seems successful and prosperous. Interesting creative work, a beautiful wife Jennifer, two wonderful children, 12-year-old Emma and 8-year-old Ethan. But behind the glossy picture hides a dark secret that poisons my existence, a secret that can destroy everything I have built for so long and persistently. Today I want to tell you my story, a story about infidelity and regret, about the wrong choice and bitter repentance, about how a moment of weakness and indulgence in base desires can cross out a whole life. So where did it all begin? Perhaps with the triumphant career rise of my wife. Jennifer works as a PR manager in a well-known cosmetics company. About a year ago, she was appointed head of a major international project, the launch of a new line of organic cosmetics in the markets of Europe and Asia. It was a great honor and recognition of her professional merits, but at the same time, a huge responsibility and incredible labor costs. Jen's schedule changed beyond recognition. Constant delays at work, overtime calls to foreign partners, frequent and lengthy business trips. Our cozy family life with dinners and weekends turned into a chaotic existence in the Met-dispersed mode. My wife and I managed to cross paths literally on the run. A kiss on the cheek, a question, "How are you?" An answer, "Fine, just tired." And that's it. The conversation is exhausted. Jennifer rushed between the office, airports, and home, trying to tear herself apart. Of course, such a rhythm of life could not but affect the atmosphere in the family. The children missed their mother's attention and warmth, were capricious, misbehaved. And I, although I was proud of my wife's career achievements, deep down I could not help but feel disappointment. As if she deliberately distanced herself from me in our relationship, burying herself in work. Yes, I understood with my mind that Jen was trying for the well-being of the family. But with my heart, I could not come to terms with the sudden loneliness. Having gotten used to being the main man, friend, and lover for my wife, I suddenly found myself out of work. Our conversations were reduced to short phrases in the messenger. Dinners and movie watching together are a thing of the past. Even sex, from a bright, rich communication of bodies and souls, turned into a rare mechanical procedure performed in haste, more out of habit. At first, I honestly tried to adapt to the new realities, supporting Jennifer as much as I could. I took on the lion's share of caring for the children, cooking, cleaning, combining it with a job in an architectural bureau that required complete dedication. But soon it became clear that I could not cope alone. I was exhausted both physically and emotionally. I was in dire need of at least some help and moral support. And then Jennifer suggested asking her mother, Claire, to live with us for a while. Claire was a widow. Her husband died 5 years ago, lived alone, and had long volunteered to babysit her grandchildren. She enthusiastically embraced her daughter's idea, instantly packed her things, and moved in with us almost the next day. She said that she dreams of at least slightly unloading me so that I can focus on work. Her assertiveness even somewhat embarrassed me, but there was not much choice. I must admit that my relationship with my mother-in-law has always been, if not friendly, then quite companionable. Claire seemed to me an extraordinary woman, with a lively mind and a peculiar sense of humor. She had an excellent understanding of art, loved theater and exhibitions. She enjoyed discussing the latest architectural projects and design innovations with me. In addition, she looked amazingly youthful and attractive, causing involuntary admiration. Slim, well-groomed, with sparkling green eyes and luxurious curly hair, she looked more like Jennifer's older sister than her mother. An elegant style, impeccable taste in clothes, self-confidence, all this attracted the eye. Sometimes I caught myself openly admiring her. However, I tried to immediately drive away uninvited fantasies, not allowing them to become fixed in my mind. With Claire's move, our life really began to improve. My mother-in-law completely took over the care of the children and the household, freeing me for work and creativity. I could calmly sit over projects late into the night, knowing that Emma and Ethan were fed, listened to, and put to bed. The atmosphere in the house warmed up, nervousness and fuss disappeared. Claire, with her inherent enthusiasm, organized various activities, joint trips to the park, exhibitions, picnics in nature, as if breathed new life into our fading family. but at the same time, her presence nearby strangely teased and excited, awakening long-suppressed desires. I didn't notice how I began to catch Claire's every word and look, eagerly listen to her stories, admire her manners. Now, our evening conversations in the kitchen over a glass of wine have turned into a daily ritual. We had lively debates about new areas of the city, recommended our favorite books and films to each other, joked. At such moments, it seemed that we had known each other all our lives, so comfortable I was in her company. Claire subtly felt my mood, unerringly determining when it was better to cheer up and when to leave alone. I poured out my soul to her, shared my worries about the future of the family, resentments against Jennifer. Gradually, our relationship grew from warm family ties into a trusting friendship, and then into an exciting attraction. I began to notice alarming signals in myself. I admired the curves of Claire's figure, inhaled the delicate floral scent of her perfume, longed to accidentally touch her hand when passing a glass of wine. I fantasized what it would be like to hug her, to feel the velvetiness and pliability of a mature body, kiss a laughing mouth, bury my face in thick curls. More and more often, my dreams began to be visited by stirring visions of our intimacy. Waking up in the mornings, excited and heated, I shamefully hid my eyes from my wife. I convinced myself that there was nothing like that in my emotions, the usual attraction of a mature man to an attractive woman, that it was only abstract admiration, a play of imagination, not capable of harming my marriage. Deep down, I understood that I was playing with fire, stepping on thin and dangerous ice. But the desire to feel the sharpness of the forbidden fruit beckoned like a drug. One evening, when the children were already asleep and Jennifer once again got stuck in the office, it all happened. Lost in thought, Claire and I sat in the kitchen until midnight. In the dim light of the desk lamp, through a light alcoholic haze, she seemed especially desirable and attractive. Catching her long, meaningful glances at me, I realized that a little more, and emotions would spill over the edge. My heart was pounding like crazy, my palms were sweating, my mouth was dry. At some point, we simultaneously reached for the bottle and our fingers touched. From this simple contact, an electric discharge seemed to run through my entire body. The air between us thickened and crackled with tension. Slowly, as if in a dream, I intercepted Claire's palm and brought it to my lips, covering each finger with trembling kisses. She exhaled intermittently and leaned forward, covering my mouth with a hot kiss. The dam collapsed. Passion flooded us over our heads. I remember what followed in snatches, as if in a drunken stupor. We found ourselves in the guest bedroom, feverishly getting rid of clothes. We intertwined bodies and souls, unable to get enough of each other. We kissed with abandon, passionately, as if tomorrow would not come. I worshipped Claire's beautiful body, reveling in her pliability and desire. I covered every centimeter of trembling skin with kisses, enjoying the sweet sighs. She responded with no less ardor, submitting and demanding caresses at the same time. She directed and set the rhythm of our union. Reality ceased to exist. Time stopped. There were only us, fused together on the altar of passion. Frantic heartbeats, rapid breathing, sweat-soaked skin. The climax caught us simultaneously, making us shudder with our whole being. Sated, we lay silently for a long time, trying to catch our breath and comprehend what had happened. Claire squinted blissfully, sorting through my hair, and I was overwhelmed by a wave of remorse and self-loathing. Lord, what have I done? I slept with my own mother-in-law, betrayed the sacred bonds of marriage and kinship. How will I now be able to look my wife and children in the eye? Nausea rose to my throat. Jumping out of bed like a scalded cat, I began to dress feverishly, muttering some incoherent apologies. That what happened was a mistake, a clouding of reason that would never happen again, that I love only Jennifer and cannot so vilely deceive her trust. Claire silently listened to my penitential outpourings, not even trying to object. She only smiled sadly and nodded when I jumped up and ran out. I spent the next week like in hell, tormented by guilt and torn by contradictions. I diligently pretended that everything was fine, but Jennifer sensed something was wrong. She pestered me with questions, looked into my eyes, caught me in inconsistencies and excuses. Claire outwardly remained the epitome of composure, but I noticed her long, sad, furtive glances. I avoided being alone with my mother-in-law, afraid that I would not resist the temptation. I averted my eyes, dodged touches, got off with general phrases. At night I tossed and turned without sleep, crumpling the sheets and scrolling through the smallest details of our intimacy in my head. At the same time, I desired Claire to madness and despised myself for cowardice. In a few days I was exhausted, lost sleep and peace, feeling only an excruciating discord with myself. After a week of this agony, I realized that I had to decide something. Otherwise, I'll just go crazy, torn between duty and passion. Under a plausible pretext, I ran away from home in the evening and went to wander around the city. I wandered the streets, not looking at the road, trying to prioritize and put my thoughts in order. I scrolled through options in my head, weighing the pros and cons. On the one hand, I was madly longing for Claire, for her warmth and femininity. Next to her, I felt alive, desirable, special. She was a breath of fresh air, a holiday among the gray family weekdays. She quenched my emotional and sexual hunger, which had been accumulating for so long in my marriage. With her, I was not an exemplary husband and father, but a passionate lover, a conqueror. But reason suggested that our relationship was doomed, built on deception, meanness, disrespect for loved ones. The longer I hide the truth, the more painful the denouement will be. Jennifer will sooner or later find out about everything. And from whom? From me or from well-wishing friends does not really matter. The consequences of adultery with one's own mother-in-law will be immeasurably heavier than a banal affair on the side. This is a double betrayal, a stab in the back. No woman can forgive this. In addition, we have children. I am responsible for their emotional balance. Selfish pleasures are not worth a ruined childhood and the crippled fates of Emma and Ethan. It is better that I secretly pine for the unfulfilled for many years than one day see disappointment mixed with contempt in their eyes. No, I can't do this so vilely to those I love more than life. I must find the strength to give up the forbidden fruit, endure the withdrawal, come to terms with the pain of loss, for the sake of a ghostly chance to save the family. All night I rushed around the park, pondering my decision. And in the morning, early in the morning, I went to Claire, while Jennifer was sleeping. My mother-in-law looked tired and sad, as if anticipating the outcome of our conversation. She listened to my incoherent excuses, biting her lips and fiddling with the hem of her robe. And when I ran out of steam, she only smiled bitterly and said, "Well, perhaps you are right, Brian. Probably we really should stop before it's too late. I will leave today and promise not to tempt fate with my presence anymore. I don't want to destroy your family, even though I love you with all my heart. I hope that someday you will forgive me for a moment of weakness. Know this, I will never regret what was between us." Claire kept her word. By the evening, she had packed her suitcases and left, referring to urgent matters. When saying goodbye, she hugged me tightly and pecked me on the cheek. It seemed to me that her eyes were suspiciously shiny. Returning home, I felt both relief and incredible emptiness at the same time, as if a piece was torn from my chest, leaving a gaping hole. I tried not to show it and pretend to be welcoming, but Jennifer looked at me with distrust, wondering why her mother had gathered so abruptly. I had to make up a story on the go about sudden health problems. Gradually, life returned to its usual track. Jennifer immersed herself in work, I in my projects. Claire periodically ran to see her grandchildren, but we never stayed alone anymore. We looked at each other from a distance, exchanging glances full of pain and regret. We tried not to touch on sensitive topics, not to reopen wounds, but even such a half-hearted, ghostly communication stirred the soul. I missed Claire immensely. I lacked our heart-to-heart conversations, her laughter, the sly squint of her green eyes. I caught myself involuntarily comparing Jennifer with her, and not in favor of the latter. I reproached myself for cowardice and infidelity, but the heart cannot be ordered. For about 3 months I honestly held on. I found an outlet in work and children, avoided any temptations, but the desire became more and more unbearable, twisting my nerves, depriving me of sleep and peace. I got tired of fighting with myself, tired of pretending to be an exemplary husband. In the end, I gave in to weakness. Having chosen a moment when Jennifer was not in the city, I called Claire. Incoherently, hotly whispering into the phone, begging for a meeting. She was silent for a long time, but then she exhaled in a barely audible voice, Come. That evening was only the first in a series of many stolen dates. Claire and I completely surrendered to the madness of passion, reveling in each other, not thinking about the consequences. We lied to our loved ones about being late at work, meeting with friends, having business in the city. We did it wherever we could, at her house, in my car, in cheap motels on the outskirts, hiding and hiding, like spies or criminals. It was intoxicating and frightening at the same time. I understood that I was sinking deeper and deeper, that a double life would sooner or later crack. But I also could not get out of the sweet pool, give up the snatched moments of happiness. Meanwhile, Jennifer clearly suspected something. Now and then, she would throw me loud scenes of jealousy, trying to catch me in a lie. She rummaged through the pockets of my jackets in search of love notes, studied my phone, looking for evidence of my infidelity. The atmosphere was heating up. The nerves were ringing like a taut string. Claire and I became even more careful, reduced the frequency and duration of meetings, but we could no longer quench the thirst for each other's flesh. The secret passion corroded the tortured soul, clouded the mind. And then it all ended in an instant. That fateful evening, Claire and I agreed to meet at her place. Jennifer said she would be stuck at a business dinner late into the night. Taking advantage of the respite, I rushed to my mistress, forgetting about caution. We were completely absorbed in each other, dissolving in caresses and confessions, when there was a knock on the door. And then everything rushed on like in a terrible dream. Jennifer's shocked cry, faces frozen in amazement, convulsive attempts to cover ourselves with the first thing that came to hand, screams of, "How could you, you scumbag?" tearing the silence and the heart. The sound of a slap and the crash of a door, Claire's trembling shoulders trying to merge with the sheet. An overwhelming, oppressive silence. I flew out into the street in pursuit of my wife, begging her to listen, to forgive, to let me explain myself. But Jennifer only frantically waved me away, looking at me with disgust as if at a pile of garbage. Sobbing, she shouted that she was filing for divorce, would demand a division of property and full custody of the children, that she would file for astronomical alimony so that it would not be a good idea to stick my dick where it doesn't belong, that she would tell the whole family and friends what a moral freak I am. She slammed the car door and disappeared into the night, leaving me standing in the middle of the street with a feeling of inexpressible abomination. Then everything rushed on as usual. Jennifer kept her word, arranging a demonstrative flogging for me. My things flew out the window, accounts and credit cards were blocked. I was cut off from the house. Emma and Ethan looked like wolf cubs, shying away like the plague. In their eyes I could read one silent question. "Dad, why did you do this to us?" Friends avoided me, colleagues whispered behind my back. Everywhere I felt like a leper, surrounded by contempt and condemnation. Claire didn't have it easy either. At the family council, an enraged Jennifer threw her a formal hysteria, accusing her of betrayal and cunning. She yelled that she would never forgive and no longer wanted to know her. Sisters, having learned about what happened, also cursed the prodigal mother with the last words. In the end, Claire left to distant relatives, unable to withstand universal condemnation. We exchanged a couple of short phrases on the phone, agreeing that continuing communication was too dangerous. I was tearing my soul out to her, but I understood. It's impossible. The price is too high. Meanwhile, the divorce process was in full swing. Jennifer was taking revenge on me with all her feminine ingenuity. The building that we had been erecting for so many years collapsed like a house of cards, and all through my fault. I was tormented by guilt, cursed myself for lack of will and lust. I drowned out the pain of loneliness with alcohol, sat on sick leave for days on end. At night I wandered through bars, hiding from everyone and despising myself. I couldn't find a place for myself, torn between obligations and desires, duty and passion. Gradually, the sharp edges became blunt. Jennifer softened, seeing my sincere suffering. She allowed me to see the children, although the relationship is still very tense. Emma and Ethan are clearly burdened by communication with me, not knowing how to behave. I try my best to regain their trust, to rebuild bridges, but I understand that now this struggle is for years. Claire and I are not communicating yet. It's too early. We need to give Jennifer time to cool down, to get used to what happened. Perhaps someday she will be ready to forgive us. Not to accept, but at least to come to terms with it. I know I have a long way to go to atone, a path of overcoming myself and working on mistakes. But I'm ready to walk this road, no matter how thorny it may be, for the sake of forgiving children and gaining their love, for the sake of a ghostly chance to return the family. I endlessly regret what I've done and pray to heaven for a second chance, a chance to become a better husband, father, person. Now I appeal to everyone who is standing on the edge of the abyss of betrayal, who, just like I once did, indulges in their weaknesses and turns a blind eye to the consequences. Stop. Think twice before cheating on your loved ones. Momentary pleasure is not worth destroyed relationships, deceived hopes, children's tears. Find the strength to be faithful and worthy of the trust of your loved ones. Value family above short-lived pleasures and selfish ambitions. Of course, marriage is always painstaking work. Feelings fade, passion subsides, partners change, but it is in our power to keep love, like a precious sprout. Water it, nourish it, cherish it day after day, no matter what. If there is a crisis in the relationship, don't rush into the arms of others. Try to talk openly. Discuss what doesn't suit you. Bring new colors to the dreary everyday life. Arrange an unforgettable date. Surprise and pamper your loved ones. Talk about your feelings. After all, family is a priceless gift, an investment in which is worth making constantly. Especially beware of the temptation to indulge in passion with members of your partner's family, be it a mother-in-law, sister-in-law, or someone else. This is not just physical infidelity, but also spiritual betrayal. Having trampled on the sacred bonds of kinship, you will never wash off the stigma of Judas in the eyes of your spouse and their loved ones. This is a wound that will bleed all your life, poisoning the existence of both you and your loved one. Double deception cannot be hidden, prayed away, or atoned for with any apologies. It will always be between you as an invisible wall, even if you formally reconcile. Memories of meanness and pain cannot be erased from memory, no matter how much you want to. Therefore, do not step on the slippery path of passion with distant and close relatives. No matter how tempting and seductive the forbidden fruit may be, this is a dead end. I know how hard it is sometimes to resist temptation, to refuse a desired woman with whom you have so much in common. How you want to feel desirable and irresistible again, throwing off the burden of family routine. But believe me, it's not worth it. This is an illusion, a mirage for which you will pay too high a price. The price of loneliness, mental torment, loss of the most precious thing, the love and trust of loved ones. Now I would give anything in the world to turn back time. I would never have given in to hormones, would not have betrayed my family. Alas, in reality, mistakes cannot be erased, choices cannot be replayed. I will have to live with the seal of an unfaithful husband and an unprincipled father. For many years to deal with the consequences of my irresponsibility, listening to reproaches and enduring the coldness of relatives. And only one thought gives me the strength not to give up, to move on. I still love Jennifer. Despite the pain I caused, despite mutual grievances, she is the woman of my life, the mother of my children, and one day I will regain her trust. I will win her heart again, melt the ice of alienation. Not for myself, for Emma and Ethan, for their right to have a full-fledged family. Even if I have to crawl towards this goal on my knees. Even if Claire forever remains only a sweet and bitter memory. Every day I pray for forgiveness. I try to make amends with concrete deeds and actions. To become the best version of myself. To atone for sins with care and dedication. To be a responsible and loving father. A faithful friend and support for my ex-wife. And I very much hope that time and my sincerity will help heal the wounds inflicted, to patch up the gaps in our relationship, to restore harmony and mutual understanding. Dear listeners, please learn from my mistakes. Value your families, fight for love, and don't indulge in base passions. Don't exchange diamonds for glass beads, the eternal for the ephemeral. What seems bland and boring is actually true happiness. We're just sometimes too blind to see it. Love your chosen ones. Tell them tender words. Thank them for every day spent together. Find time for communication, walks, vivid impressions. Put your soul into relationships, sparing no effort and imagination. Protect your loved ones from the pain of betrayal and your conscience from indelible stains. Be happy and pure. Keep faith. Enjoy every moment of family unity. in harmony with yourself and those who are dear to you. And may your love not fade, but shine like a guiding star, illuminating the path through adversity and sorrow. Thank you for listening to my confession. I hope my bitter example will help someone avoid irreparable mistakes. Take care of yourself and your families. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.